Hello, Infiniteers. It is Friday, and that means it's time for another episode of Toy Box Classics. Today, we are going to finish the build exercise for my version of the Turtle Talk Toy Box, which combines parts of Father 911's classic Turtle Talk Toy Box with another classic toy box, Pearl's Adventure by Vasuri83. Last time, we built the reef and the jellyfish forest up there, and we added the first super cannon up here at the top of the jellyfish forest that will take the player out into the East Australian current. And what we want to do now is add more super cannons to carry us out towards the starting block out there and away from the reef. And so what we're going to do is you're going to position these cannons, of course with the arrow going the same direction. Line it up with this one, and you're going to drop the next one down so that the little star at the end of the previous one is right at the entrance to the next one. So just like that. And then the next one goes just like that, and so on. And we can delete this temporary block out of here now because that's not needed anymore. And we're going to add a total of 26 of these. All right, so we've got 3 so far. So here is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. Alright, and you want to look back and make sure those are all in a straight line, that you didn't deviate at all. And you'll notice the reef is looking very small back there now. You can hardly see it against the sky dome. And if you wanted to, you could add a few more, but you don't really need them. This is sufficient to get us out away from the reef. Okay, and the last super cannon will launch us onto Crush's back. So let's build him. And once again, since we do not have a turtle that we can use as a landing piece, we're going to have to build one. And for that, we're going to need to use basic blocks. And since I need a decent-sized turtle to serve as a landing zone, I chose to combine aspects of Father 911's turtles with aspects of Vasuri's83's turtles. And I added a couple of my own touches. The smaller baby turtles that we're going to build a little bit later in my toy box are identical to Father 911's turtles. So let me show you how to build one. And let me pull up my screen grab here so that I can build this thing the way I need to build it. Alright, so we're going to start with this long block, alright? And I want to line the edge of this up with the edge of that star. And we're going to drop it down right here, just like that. Okay? So I want that to give you the idea of where that gets placed. And we're going to style this. The turtle shell is going to use the Plastic Wood 1 theme. I'll set that to be my theme. Again, that's what we're using for our turtle shell. We're going to place another one right next to it. And so that's where the player is going to land. This is going to be Crush's back. Okay. And then we're going to grab this long wedge block. I'm going to add kind of a shape to the turtle's back. And then we're going to scroll down and grab this curved block and put this right here, followed by this half dome. Okay? This is going to be kind of the curvature on the turtle's back. And at the same time, it's also going to give the player something to hit against, because one of the things with the super cannon, you don't always land right at this position. Sometimes you land here, sometimes you land a little bit forward, and the thing we don't want to do is overshoot the turtle. So by putting this up here, the player will fly right into that and stop moving forward. So we ensure that the player lands on the turtle's back. Okay, and then I want to add a couple of fans. You find these up under the platforming toys. And you'll see what these are for in a moment, but we're going to drop one right there, about a half a block from the edge of the wedge block there. Okay. And then we're going to go back to the basic blocks, and we're done with the shell now. And at this point, what we are going to do is build the belly of the turtle. So we're going to use this piece. We're going to put this under here, like this, actually. And for this part of the turtle, we're going to change the theme now to use the stitched theme. And the rest of the turtle will be with this theme. Trying to get to a good point where I can see what I'm doing here. So like that. And then for the turtle flippers and arms and flippers, we're going to come out here and add this block right up under the edge there like that. I'm going to put two of them down on either side, followed by the turn, the rounded ledge block, followed by a wedge. And actually we want the other one here. We'll put this one on the other side. Okay, so there are the front flippers. And then on the back, we'll do that. And then another wedge here. Okay, so those are the legs for the turtle. And then we need a head. And for this, trying to get to the screenshot there. Okay, we're going to use our curved block for his neck. That's going to sit here just like this. The next one we're going to put up a little bit. Then we're going to look for the upside down version of that, which is a little further away. It's kind of weird that they didn't put it right next to it, but like that. And then this will sit here like this. And we'll put a wedge block on the front of that. So this wedge block will sit in here like this and like that. So that's the turtle's head. And then for the eyes, if we go to the decorations drawer and go left, we'll go over to the cars decorations. We have to scroll a little bit to get there. Do-do-do-do-do. But there are some tires. I believe it's under here. Might be up under the racetrack pieces. Yeah, those are not the tires I'm thinking of. Okay, so it must be up under racetrack pieces. Sorry about that. I thought I knew where those things were. We're almost there. There we go. Yeah. So these kind of make good eyes. Or at least an approximation thereof. And so there is our turtle. Does it look a lot like a turtle or anything like a turtle? I don't know. But with basic blocks, it doesn't look too bad. It kind of looks like a turtle. So I think we'll do that. And I like the fans on here because as you're looking at it, the fans kind of make it look like he's swimming through the water. And of course, they also add our platforming capability, which is important. Okay, so now what we want to do is build our path over to the next turtle. Because this will be Crush. This is where we start. But there's going to be some other turtles here. And what I want to do is place this. Let's see. Let me drop that there temporarily. This actually needs to be over here like that. And same thing on the other side. Don't want it hanging off the edge of the turtle's flipper there. Right, so then this piece can slide right up against that piece, just like that. And this is just a spacer block, so just so we don't get confused, let me switch this back to the default theme. All right, and then from here we are going to place another super cannon. So back to platforming toys and back to our super cannon. So this is going to sit right on top of the block, just like that. And that drops another star out here. Let's see, I think we can see it a little clearer if we look at it from this direction. So that's going to go like that. And the next one comes out there, but we're going to turn. This time we're going to put the super cannon here like that. Okay. Drop another one out there. Okay. And we just have 2 cannons. I'm just double checking that. Yeah. All right, back to the blocks drawer. And now with respect to this target, what we want to do is place our next block right on the end of it like that. We're going to place a total of 3 of these, followed by a tall block, and another tall block, and we come back over to our half dome, and this is where the next turtle will go. This block will be the same as that block. And now what I'm going to do is build another turtle just like this one over there. And since I've already built it once, you don't need to watch me build this again. So I'm going to do this offline, and I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so there is my second turtle. And he looks just like the first one. And now before we build any further, we want to make sure that our path to this turtle works. So let's take these spacer blocks out to get them out of the way. Because if we need to reposition that turtle, we want to do it now before we build any further. So you'll come out of the editor, land on Crush over here, and let's ride the super cannons. And uh-oh, I think we have a problem. Okay, so we went right past this other guy, and I can see the problem. I put this a little too far away from that star. That needs to come back there like that. Which means the next cannon needs to back up. And that probably means this needs to back up a half a block as well. So let me go ahead and back this up and move all of these blocks back half a block, and I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so I have moved my turtle, and oops. Oh, how I ended up there. Alright, let's try this again. Okay, so I moved the turtle. Let's try this and see if we make it all the way there this time. And we did. Okay. And you want to do that after you build each animal, just to make sure that you end up where you think you're going to end up. Because there's no point building past that if you're not positioned correctly, because then you have to move everything that comes after. Okay, so now we're going to build the next animal in the sequence, and that's going to be the manta ray. And get to my screen grab here. Sorry about that. Okay, we're going to place our building block like that, and we're going to place another super cannon on top of that. The arrow needs to go that way, and we're going to set it right on top of the block, just like you see there. And then back down to the block strewer. And let's put in some additional spacer blocks here. We're going to put down 4 blocks, followed by a vertical block. And that's going to get us to the edge of the manta ray. And what we're going to do is place this down here off the end of that. And yeah. Just double checking something. Okay, so we're going to place it like that. And what we basically want is the same distance, so about 4 blocks wide, centered on that vertical block. That's what we're looking to do. And before we put too many of these down, let's go ahead and set the theme. And for the theme on our manta ray, we're going to use the Concrete 2 theme. Set that to be the theme. And then we're going to put 6 of these in here. This will be the top or the back of the manta ray. We'll put a couple of little blocks here for the front of the manta ray, like that. And then for the wings, we're going to use this support arch, the short one. Put 6 of those on either side. Followed by a wedge block on either side. We're going to mirror basically what's on either side here at this point. And we'll kind of shape the wings here first. So like that. And then fill in the area in between with some blocks. And back to the wedge blocks. We're going to put one in here, one on the opposite side. And for the tail, oops, we're going to use this curved ramp block. That's going to sit in there just like that. So there is the shape of our manta ray. And it does need a little help because it looks really ugly with all of those lines. And so what we're going to do next is go over to the floor pieces. We can't get rid of the lines entirely, but we can kind of hide them a little bit by using these floor pieces. And that still has some lines between the pieces, but they're not as prominent. So that helps cover up some of the ugliness, which I think is helpful. And then for the eyes on the manta ray, if we go back up to the racetrack pieces, we have the single tire fence. We can put that there to help hide that seam a little bit. And there we go. There is our manta ray. And I think that looks pretty good. I like the way that looks. All right, and then once again, let's take out our blocks here. And let's ride that super cannon. Make sure it takes us where we gotta go. Whoa, almost way over the almost way over the thing. And that's interesting because it doesn't always do that. We'll go that far. Let's try this again. Now see, that time we ended way back here. So I wouldn't move this, even though that first time we ended up way back here. I wouldn't slide the manta ray back toward the reef because sometimes that cannon doesn't fire you as far. And if I move the manta ray, I might miss it. So this gives us a nice wide landing area for that super cannon. Okay, and then to get back to Crush, we're going to go up to the platforming toys and add another super cannon. And it's going to sit on the end of the tail like that. And we'll go into the properties, set the tilt position to 45 degrees. Okay, and that puts us like that. Yeah, that's the right positioning for that. And that drops the star for it right out here. And that's where the next super cannon has to go. So note where that is in relation to that star. And I want to put it over here lined up with Crush like that. So let me get in here so you can see where that star is located a little bit better. Right on the lower right corner of that super cannon. And this is important that this is lined up with this block here because we want to make sure we don't get caught in the fan. Okay, so as we come back out here, out of the editor, we can test this out. Make sure we end up back at Crush. And there we go. Okay, so that is the first little path through the animals. So we got a turtle out there, and a manta ray, and then back to Crush. Okay, the next set of cannons is going to come off of this side of Crush. So let's go back down to the basic blocks. And let's pick this piece up and put it back to get there a little quicker. We're going to put this block right off the end of that wing with the next super cannon on top of that. And I think that makes it kind of challenging because the player has to then ride that fan in the correct way so as to get onto the super cannon. And notice where the bounding box is in relation to that vertical block I just placed. Okay? And we're going to need 3 of these. Like that. And we can delete that little temporary helper block. And then coming out here, excuse me, if we look at where the star is here, we go back down to our basic blocks. Where that super cannon target is, we want to put the next basic block right there. And this is going to be our next turtle. Okay? So you want to set that to be your plastic tooth or plastic wood theme. And then we're going to build another turtle. And I'll go ahead and do that once again offline because you don't need to see me build this again. And I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so there is our third turtle. And notice I placed the fans back a little bit further on each of the wings on either side. Alright, so now we want to build the path to our next animal. And to do that, let me grab my screenshot here. We're going to place this right off the end, just like that. And let me double check that. Yeah. So notice how we're placing that right there. And we're going to build our path to the next manta ray. And basically that's what I'm going to show you. I've already taken the liberty of building that to save a little time. But basically you're going to put this block right here on the end of the turtle. And then build 3 of these followed by 1 of these. And that puts you right at the tail of the manta. Okay? And then on top of this, you're going to place your next super cannon. And that will aim in that direction, sitting right on top like that. Okay? And then you build your manta ray, and then you can take these spacer blocks out. And by the way, I forgot on the manta rays, you want to place a fan on here as well. So let's do that, and let's set the style on this once again to be Concrete 2, because that's the theme for our manta ray. And you want to put one on either side. Cover up that terrain seam. Again, that helps make it look like the animal is swimming through the water and moving, and it's also going to help with our platforming. And you want to do that with the one back over here as well. Okay, So now we need to get from this manta ray back to Crush. And to do that, we are going to use another set of super cannons to get us back over to that turtle over there, the second turtle that we built. So once again, back to the basic blocks. We're going to place this right on the end, just like that. And we're going to put a super cannon right on top of that. Aiming in that direction. And we're going to position it like you see here. Okay. And then we'll place another super cannon right here on the end by that star. And we want to place this next one, trying to show you with respect to the little star there. I think it's got to go right there. I'm trying to get a good look at this on my screen grab here. Yeah, actually it goes a little bit before that. There. So the idea is, and I think we need to back this up just a little bit. The idea is we want to land over here on this part of the shell. Let's take that out and let's try it. Whoa! I have overshot before and landed on this, but I never go past that, or at least I haven't yet, so I think that's good. Okay, and there is the next path. So we've got, so far, 3 turtles and 2 manta rays. Now, the next turtle is actually going to be below this. We're not going to use a super cannon. The idea is to use this fan and get some elevation and jump and land down on the turtle that's down below. And so what we want to do is come back again to the basic blocks. And to position this next turtle, we're going to drop 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and then the wedge for this leg of the turtle is going to go right there. Okay, and so I'm going to go ahead and build this turtle offline, and I'll be back in just a moment. All right, we have our next turtle down there. This is what? Number 4, and 1, 2, 3. This would be number 4. And you can see that wedge block that I placed is actually the right rear flipper. Right, so then we can take our helper blocks back out. And the next animal that we're going to build is going to be back over that direction. And we're going to build a whale. So we want to use a super cannon to get to him. Notice I did not place any fans on this one. That's because I want the player to be able to use the fin to get around to the super cannon. So we're going to place this right here like that. And let's see if we can get to a point, there we go, where we can see that little target. And we're going to need 3 super cannons. Just like that. And sorry for that little delay. I was looking for my screen grab. Okay, so we're going to come down to building blocks again. We're going to go over to our square block. And we want to put this right underneath that target. Okay, actually back that up. We want to put it right there. And then we want to put a block below it. And then at this point we are going to place down a upside down half dome right on the front end like that. And this is going to be the jaw of the whale. And for the whale blocks, we're going to use the style over here to the right. It's called Blue Scales. We'll set that to be our theme. And we'll delete our helper blocks. And the idea is that that third super cannon is going to launch us right into its mouth, which I thought would be kind of fun. And for the whale, up under set pieces, there is a set piece for Monstro the Whale from Pinocchio. And I want to use that. That's about the best detail we've got. A piece with the best detail. We want to put this about like that. And let me double check this. Yeah, so just like that. And I'm trying to figure out if I had this. I think I had it like this. I may have to change this, but I think that is with, that lines up the best with the curve of the whale. So I think that's right. And we'll find out here in a moment. Alright, so back down here, we're going to grab the upside down curved block. Yeah, that takes us to the edge of the whale back here. So that is the correct spacing for the mouth. That last tooth comes right up on the middle of the block. Okay. And then we're going to place one more block behind that, followed by an upside down wedge. Okay. And then we're going to place a couple of these up on top. And we're going to kind of build a tunnel here for the whale. Trying to get thought I had a screenshot that showed me what I needed to see here, but not seeing it at the moment. But what I am seeing is I've got this piece. This can't sit here because the whale would be in the way. So this has got to sit up here, which means we need a couple of blocks under here like that to kind of plug that. And then we'll use some wall pieces here. These little short block walls. And so we don't have a gap, we have to orient them that way. Like that. And then we're going to flip this around. Whoops, no we don't. We'll leave it out like that. We're going to put two out like this. And we're going to add in some more wedge blocks. Okay. And actually I had this oriented with the texture like that. We'll build the tail now. And like that. And because we can have a gap right under here, we need to add in a floor block underneath this thing. So we'll put this small floor under here like that. Alright. So now if we land on this and just kind of check this out. Yeah, that plugs the gap under there. The only thing we can't plug is the gap under here, under the sides of the jaw. I haven't figured out a way to do that and have this look right. So that's what we got there. But the idea is you just kind of swim through the whale, come out on this side, and then hop up on that platform up here. And then we're going to put a super cannon that'll take us back up to Crush. And for the super cannon, we go back up to platforming toys. This needs to sit in here, just like you see there. And we want to set the properties on this once again. So the tilt position is 45 degrees. The next super cannon needs to sit up here where that star is. And yeah, so it's going to sit just like you see there. Once again, we'll set that on the properties to 45 degrees. And then we need a third cannon. And we set that to 35 degrees. Okay. And then that takes us up to this point. And when we fall, we should land up here on the back of this whale. We want to make sure our super cannon is going to put us there and not shoot us off the back end of this guy. Okay. And there we go. That brings us back up to Crush. So at this point we have a nice path through all of these animals. We got a whale, we got a manta ray, we got some turtles, a couple of manta rays, and I think that looks really, really good. Gives us some variety, and I like the way that looks. Okay, and then at this point what I want to do is I want to show you how to build the baby turtle. So we're going to come back over here to Crush, and I'm going to place one, and I'll show you how to build it, and then I'll put the rest of the animals in here offline, and I'll show you where they go, and then we'll be done for the day. Okay, so we're going to place this first spacer block right off the end of the flipper for Crush. Again, he was the first turtle we dropped. The next block is going to be halfway off of the end of him. And is there any significance to this? No. We're not actually going to travel to this, but this is where I placed it in my original toy box. And I know that some of you really like to duplicate what I've got here. Okay? And then we're going to place our next turtle. And once again, let's scroll over to the right. Our next turtle is going to sit right off the end of that. Once again, we're going to style it with the stitched theme. And this is going to be kind of similar to what we did for the head of the bigger turtle. But the body on him is going to be smaller. Okay, so we're going to put that there like that. And we're going to switch textures here a couple of times, I think, because this is going to be easier to show you how to build this. But we'll put our next block in here like this. Once again, we'll use the Plastic Wood 1 theme. We'll build a small shell this time. And we'll put a full dome on top of that. Like you see there. And then we'll go back let's see, we'll do the front flippers first. And this is going to sit down below like that, halfway off the end of that. And let's set the style back now to stitched. And put one on either side. And I'm going to rotate that just so the stitching kind of goes on the top, goes from side to side. And then we want to use little tiny flippers. And then once again, back over here. For the back legs, this is going to sit like you see there. Like that. And so there is our little baby turtle. And if you want, you can put some eyes up on him. And we should. So up under the racetrack pieces, and put a couple of smaller little eyes up there. And there is our baby turtle. Okay? And that's where the first one's going to go. So at this point, we have all of our main turtles and animals. And I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of them offline because we want to add some additional ones in here that the player doesn't necessarily visit, but you want this to look like a larger pod or group of animals flying through the EAC. So I will do that, and I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, I am back, and I have added in all of the other turtles. So let me give you a quick flyover, and I'll show you where I placed them. So starting here with the first turtle that we built, which was going to be Crush, go off of the right fin. You're going to add 2 of these basic blocks, turn, do 3 of them, and then another one of these, and then build another turtle like Crush. Okay? So that's where the first one goes. And then what you're going to do is off of this one, which was the first baby turtle that we built, you're going to place 12 of these blocks in a row behind him, followed by 2 vertical blocks, and build another baby. Okay, so that's where he goes. And then on the 4th super cannon behind Crush, so 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to put 2 blocks followed by a smaller block, and then build another version of Crush, another larger turtle here. And then on the 6th super cannon back from Crush, you'll put down a couple more of these blocks and build another baby. Okay? And that's where all of the turtles go. And then you can delete all these little helper blocks now that we have added those in. If you want, you can try to add in some additional sea life. The original Turtle Talk toy box had some jellyfish and some other kinds of marine life. So if you wanted to, you could try to add those. I chose not to because I was trying to save a little bit of memory. And you can see where the memory meter is on the right there. I am approaching a little over half, not quite 2/3. And so I don't want to do too much more. I do have enough room if I wanted to, where I could add a few more things, but I didn't want to go overboard. Oh, and then the final thing that you would want to do is go ahead and take out the starting block down here, because you do not need this anymore. So that can go away. And so there you go. Those are the animals in the EAC and the super cannons that will allow you to swim from animal to animal. Next time I will show you how to hook up the logic for the collection quest. And that should be a short episode, because the logic is very simple. Until then, I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. If so, please give this video a like and leave a comment to let me know what you think of my recreations of Crush and the other sea life in the EAC. Well, that's all I have for you today. Take care and have a great weekend.